Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you today about some math myths because I think if we talk about these myths right now, right away, the first thing, it will help us to dispel them and to really think about what math really is about. So, the first one is there's only one right way to do math. I really hate this myth. I hear it from people all the time. They say, oh, the best thing about math is there's only one way to do it. It's not the best thing about math. That's actually not at all true. There are lots of really fun, different ways to tackle a math problem. There are lots of ways even to multiply, which I think you'll see later on as we go through this chapter. There are lots of different ways to add. There's only one right answer. That's also not true. Sometimes when you're solving a problem for X, there's only one thing that X can be. But when you're doing interesting math, not just solving equations, there's often more than one right answer, just like there's more than one way to do it. And then this one. Boys are better at math, or a certain racial or ethnic group is really good at math. It's not true that boys are better at math. Actually, studies have shown that girls can be just as good as boys at math, sometimes better at math. Often, girls get worse at math later on in school when they start feeling that they shouldn't be good at math, and so sometimes the attitude about math is what gets to them, and boys end up looking like they're better at math because girls don't want to look like they're good at math. That's a bad situation. But anyway, it's not true. This is a terrible myth. And this one, whoops, let me cross that out. This next one, the person who gets the answers the fastest is the smartest. I can tell you, as one of the slow people in class, that really irritates me. I like to think deeply about a problem. I like to make sure I really have it. I am not the fastest, but I'm pretty smart at math. So I think this one has got to go. Let's make this go. Bye. Now this one, you'd think this is an okay stereotype, right? Because maybe we're saying, oh, it's great that this ethnic group is really good at math, but it's actually a damaging stereotype. For instance, there's that stereotype that Asians are better at math, and I've heard from my students who are Asian who are not that good at math that this is really harmful to them. So let's get rid of this. Now there's this one that certain ethnic or racial groups can't do math. It goes along with that girls can't do math, right? So very similar. In fact, a study has shown, a series of studies by Claude Steele, really wonderful, showed that if you give college students, these are college students, I think it's Stanford, Yale, Harvard, one of the top schools, you give them a standardized test and you say, this test tends to show differences between race. This test tends to show differences in math between men and women. And when you say that right before you give a test, when you say that about men and women tend to do worse. When you say that about different racial groups, African Americans may do worse in different situations. But then when you say, oh, this is just a test that shows various abilities, and you don't mention gender or racial differences, then people do just as well. And so this is totally a thing about expectations, right? If you expect a whole certain group is going to do worse at math, you're going to get what you expect. That's really terrible. And finally, this one. I have so many students tell me, oh, I'm just not so good at math. I'm better at reading, or I'm better at writing. You know, you could be a poet and be really good at math also. You don't have to have an either or thing. And sometimes people say, oh, it's a left brain or right brain thing, but it's not true that people are left-brained or right-brained. We use our brain halves for everything. We use both halves. So that's also a myth. And so I hope that you will think, maybe with practice, because a lot of this is about practice, I'll get good at math too. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.